Welcome to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. We believe life is about how we react. Hey, welcome back to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. My name is Sean. Of course, as always, we've got Kyle on the other end. Thank you so much for listening today. Kyle, I've been dying to tell you a little update on my decades-long Starbucks habit.
Oh, man, I cannot wait.
Well, as we know, early on in the episode, we talked about, or I shared about how I'm going to cut it out, right? Slow down, get better, blah, blah, blah. Well, a couple things. The Starbucks that I go to closed for a remodel. They have since reopened, and holy cow, man, it is gorgeous.
Yeah,
it is really nice. This particular location is definitely a foot traffic store. Like, not a lot of people come in lounge.
Okay.
They couldn't expand because they're in a strip mall of sorts.
Okay.
And so instead of expanding or taking over the building next door or whatever, the space next door, they just eliminated probably 60% of their seating. So they enlarged their back room.
Okay.
And eliminated seating space.
You mean like the back room, like production, like their
storage area? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So now half the building, seemingly doesn't exist anymore to customers,
right.
And they have two tables now inside. So it's fine because, sure, I would love to go and sit down every now and then and play on the computer and relax.
Yeah. So how does this... Go ahead.
Oh, I'm not there yet. All right, you calm down.
I want to get to the point.
I just want you to know how cool the Starbucks looks now. You just can't sit there.
Right.
But anyway, back to the point you wanted.
Okay, here we go.
At the time of recording, it's now mid-April for you and me right now. I've been to Starbucks 12 times this year.
Nice.
Now, yeah, I think that's nice, right? Some people like 12. That's a lot in 4 months.
It was like twice a day, though, right? Yeah.
Well, every day for sure. Every now and then, twice a day. Like once, maybe once a week. So it was 7 to 9 times a week. Now we're down to, on average, once a week, right?
Okay. Yeah,
that's not a bad average.
Like 10% of what you used to do. Yeah.
Right. So far, I'm on a roll. Saving money. I'm still buying the canned stuff we talked about early on.
Yeah.
The high brew. Even with buying 2 of those, it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier. I'm not having to go into a Starbucks. It saves time, saves energy.
Right.
So, yeah, I think I'm making progress.
So that remodel, do you think it has any effect on your personal goal of reducing does it draw you back in because it's a nicer store, or does it draw you away because there's nowhere to sit? Or
one of my 12 is because I had to see the remodel, so I did go in the day they opened. Just to check it out, and I bought a drink. Obviously. I'm there, right?
Right. Yeah,
you're not gonna not buy one.
Yeah.
Can't just be like, I'm looking. Like, no, that's weird.
All right. Well, thanks for that update.
Are you proud of me?
You?
Thank you.
I am very. All right, Sean, let's move on to our interview we interviewed another friend at Uplifting Athletes. Brett Brackett played football in college for Penn State. In a few years, he played in the NFL. He's now the president of Uplifting Athletes, which we've talked about several times on our show, especially when we've interviewed Rob Long, who Brett mentioned several times in this interview. We sat down with Brett to dive a little deeper into a few of their programs and to get Brett's perspective on what drives him. Please enjoy our conversation with our friend, Brett. All right, here we are with Brett Brackett. We're in Philadelphia. It's the day before the Uplifting Athletes Young Investigator Draft, and Brett is the president of Uplifting Athletes. So are you feeling a little pressure right now?
No, right now it's not a pressure feeling. It's like that feeling you get where you got this excitement in your belly and you know some fun things are about to happen. The pressure probably would have been the month leading up to it.
Oh, yeah, of course, all the planning. And
Yes.
so tell us a little about the Young Investigator Draft.
So the Young Investigator Draft for us is a celebration of our rare disease research program. We had funded rare disease research prior to the draft, but what we found was that sending an email to the researcher that they were approved for their grant wasn't really the pomp and circumstance that they really deserved. And Uplifting Athletes is in a position where we connect through sports and figured what's a better way to celebrate these researchers the way we celebrate athletes and put them on that stage, celebrate them for the incredible work they're doing to create treatments and cures for rare diseases. So the draft is what you would think of an NFL draft or any sports draft where we're drafting the most talented people we can find that are doing work in rare disease research. They're early stage researchers, and we do it up big inside Lincoln Financial Field. There's a nice big stage, lights. We have a bunch of cool, features that are going on the screen, big jumbo screen behind everybody. And we call this draft picks one by one, bring the researcher up on stage. They get to hold up the jersey with their name on the back. And it's a fun moment, especially for researchers that, maybe aren't big sports fans.
Yeah.
And just to see the look on their face, they're like, I have never done anything like this before. I've never had a jersey since I was playing kid sports. So it's really just fun for us to be able to really give them the fanfare and the celebration that they deserve for the incredible work they're doing.
It's remarkable. I've been a few times and see these people on stage and the whole crowd is cheering, a couple hundred people. They're used to looking through a microscope at in a petri dish, and all of a sudden they're on stage. They're the ones that are being cheered for, and deservedly so, but we just don't get to do that much. So, even for the crowd, I think it's probably a great experience to be able to show your appreciation.
Yes, so. You nailed it. And the fun part you just made me think about was to make it relatable, because sometimes science isn't as relatable to people that maybe aren't as deep into that specific diagnosis or whatever it might be. And we're grateful to have Dr. David Feigenbaum, who for the past few years has graciously given us his time to be our draft analyst, right?
Yeah.
And so he does an amazing job of kind of breaking down the science and sharing with everybody that's there, like, hey, what is this research? Who is it going to help? Why is it so important? And give his... we got the NFL Combine coming up, or the Mike Mayox and the Mel Kiper who are analyzing the athletes, right? He's analyzing the research, these researchers and what impact they can have on the community, and gives that in a very palatable way at the draft, which is fun.
So, Brett, tell us a little about yourself. How did you get involved with the Uplifting Athletes?
So I am a product of our leadership development program, and Uplifting Athletes, we aim to help people impacted by rare diseases through our connections in sports and with athletes. And we do that in three ways. We serve people impacted by rare diseases of today, tomorrow, and the future. And the future side of that is our leadership development, where we're looking to develop the future leaders and forever allies for people in the rare disease community. And we started that through college athletics way back in 2003 when a Penn State football player's dad was diagnosed with kidney cancer. And it started with a few fundraising events that were annually held. And then by 2007, Uplifting Athletes came about as a formal 501c3. And that's when I was in school. So I was fortunate to play college football at Penn State and volunteered for Uplifting Athletes, raised $250,000 for supporting the mission of the organization while I was in college, and then was grateful to have the opportunity to bounce around the NFL for 5 years. Got three credited seasons, and when nobody wanted to sign me anymore to play football, I was trying to figure out what to do next, and reached back out to our founder Scott. We had stayed in touch over the years, and he was actually looking for young leadership with a nonprofit. He had moved on and started a for-profit company and was fully into that. And it was about within 6 months of Rob, we were hired, and with the plan of like, hey, Scott's not going to be doing this forever, and we'd love to find some young leadership. So Rob and I have been doing this together for the last 8 years, and it has been an absolute joy to be able to spend our time connecting where our lives have brought us to. There's so many things in that path of our lives that have made us right for this opportunity, and we're just grateful to be able to be here and do it.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. So what position did you play?
So at Penn State, I was a receiver. I went to Penn State to play quarterback, and that didn't last very long. I got moved to receiver after fall camp my freshman year. I played in 52 straight games at Penn State as a wide receiver and played on special teams, and was captain my senior year. And then by my senior year, I was playing a position that looked like a tight end, but I never put my hand in the ground. It was really like a slot receiver. And so to get a chance to play in the NFL, I moved to tight end. So I played a different position at each level.
Well, so I always think about this when I'm watching football, how strong and fit those guys are to play a whole game like that. So I'll take this opportunity and ask you, having been in that position and been one of those guys, and now it's a few years later, you've had, you have a family, a few kids. I don't know. How has your perception of fitness changed? How has your fitness changed? So I ask you.
Well, I tell people like the biggest I was at tight end was 258 pounds. And I'm probably about 220, 225 right now. So it was legitimately like 30 pounds of muscle ago. But I still maintain a very active lifestyle. I really enjoy working out. It's something that I had to do for years, right? It was required, but really enjoy it. I like the truth that's behind lifting and working out. Like 225 pounds is always 225 pounds when you have it on the bar. And some days you can lift it, some days you can't. So it's really a truth maker in some ways.
Yeah.
And I like the way it makes your body feel. Staying healthy is something that I enjoy doing. So I love working out, but it's amazing. Like you think about some of these athletes and how big and, like you said, strong they are. It's cool to see in getting so deep and connected with the rare disease community, some of the parallels between sports and what people in the rare disease community go through, right? It's the ups and downs, it's the wins, the losses, it's the injuries and having to rehab, which parallels a lot of the things that are going on in the day-to-day of someone that's either diagnosed or part of the rare disease journey. And I think that's why there's such a interesting connection between what we're doing and why we have a place in where we are with the rare disease community.
Yeah. And parallel just to life in general, right? Okay, it's experienced differently, but those pieces that you're mentioning are all the same. Everyone experiences those, whether you're an NFL player or somebody with a rare disease.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's common ground.
Brett, what keeps you plugged in at Uplifting Athletes? So why do you keep doing this world of work?
The people. I can't explain to you how many amazing people I've met. And it started for me in college. I remember we got a letter from someone who wrote and explained about their rare disease journey. They had just moved away, got a job they were excited about, living on their own independently, and didn't feel well. And then wrote in the letter basically that she went to the doctor, was given a rare disease diagnosis and told there's nothing we can do. Like, go home and live the rest of the time you have left with your family because there's no treatments. We're nothing we can do. And she felt hopeless. And she went home and did exactly what the doctor told her not to do. She Googled her rare disease. But fortunately for her that day, she also found an article about the Penn State football team that was raising money for rare diseases. And she wrote in her letter that she went from feeling alone to feeling like she had 120 people on her team, and she knew she could beat it because they were behind her. And for me, knowing that we never got a chance to meet that lady, didn't know who she was, but she wrote a letter, to have that type of impact on somebody going through one of the most difficult times in their life, I was I was set. I wanted to do whatever I could for as long as I could to use the platform of sport to help other people. And that's impacted me greatly throughout this entire time. And it's only continued to grow. The more people I've gotten to meet, Kyle, we were just talking this morning over breakfast about P-Pals, right? We first met at P-Pals and just meeting so many incredible people in the community that's why, because they need help, need resources, and there are incredible people that I think we're in a position to help. So I want to keep doing it as long as I can.
We hear it often, right? Whether it's cancer or rare disease or nothing, like life is good, like, and you're on top of the world and you're worth billions of dollars. Nobody does life alone. There's always at least one other person, if not several, that make life doable and exciting.
Yeah. Tell us about uplifting experiences, because I know that's a big thing that is going on now.
Yeah, it's really grown in the past few years in particular. So I'd mentioned our focus of serving people impacted by rare diseases today, tomorrow, and in the future. And so the future is our leadership development of the student athletes to be forever allies for the rare disease community. And then the tomorrow is funding the research for tomorrow's treatments and cures. And the today is where literally today we can create a moment for people that are impacted by rare diseases where they don't have to think about the challenges they face regularly. We can go ahead of them and make them feel loved and cared for through what we call uplifting experiences, which are events that we create between the local families impacted by rare diseases and athletes, teams, and organizations in that area. And they are game day events, they are practice visits, they are special events like the one we're going to have tonight, which is a bowling event, right? We ran a whole bowling alley and we welcome in families and the athletes we work with, and it's just a place to hang out and talk about those commonalities, get to know each other. And that's such a powerful thing in life, is to relate and get to know people. And it does allow you to kind of sometimes escape some of the things that you're burdened by maybe on a day-to-day basis, and some of the challenges you face. And that's kind of a fun opportunity for us to create these. And uplifting experiences is something we did for as long as I've been at Uplifting Athletes, but we did a couple of them a year because it was like we had to connect the dots. It was hard to facilitate, create the events. And then a partner came to us and said, hey, like, what's the next, the draft was going on. Like, what's the next big thing you want to do? We're like, hey, look, every time we have these uplifting experiences, I can't describe to you how amazing the connections are and the relationships that are built and just the continuity that's going on. We want to do more of those. Like, all right, well, what's it going to take? All right, let's think about it. And we got back to them with what we thought it was going to take. They said, let's do it. So we got some support from one of our partners, and we kind of piloted 10 events in the second half of 2022 to see how the process was going to work. We had a portal on our website to accept registrations, and we did those 10, and we set a goal of doing 20 in 2023. So we ended up doing 31 events that served 390 people, and we were thrilled. So the next year we set a goal of 45 and quickly changed that goal to 65 because we were making such good progress. We ended up closing 2024 with 77 events that served over 800 people.
Wow.
And it's been so cool to hear the response and the follow-up from surveys and like what's going on. And we have a wait list of people that are signing up. We have a link on our website for you might not see an experience live right now that you want to attend or in your area, but like sign up and send us your information so we know you're out there and what we need to do experiences next. And so people are signing up for that. And there's hundreds of people waiting for us to create more experiences. So it's like, all right, we got to go. We got to keep doing this. So we got big goals for 2025. And, you know, we have one of those experiences tonight here in Philly where our student athletes that are coming in for the conference and some local families that we're connected with are going to get together and we're going to have an uplifting experience.
Do you have a professional bowler on tap to teach everyone how to bowl?
You know, these athletes, just the generalist of the athlete is a competitive person, right? So I would beg to differ that there's probably a ton of athletes in that room that they think they are the professional bowler. But no, we don't. This is one of those things that we wanted to create something that was inclusive, right? That we could all be a part of. We can sit, relax, have a good time. Like we didn't want to go play pickup basketball, right? We wanted to create something where we all can come and hang out and be together. And so we don't need to be professional bowlers to go do it. But we do is we bring the community, we bring the athletic community, we bring the rare disease community together in that moment, which is really fun.
What's a moment from an uplifting experience? I'm sure there's many, but what is a moment that really sticks out to you that describes the impact of those experiences?
So the one that comes to mind was actually right here in Philly. We had an incredible partnership with the Phillies this past year, and they do this thing called Ball Kid of the Month. And they graciously provided us the opportunity for 3 families to participate in the Ball Kid of the Month. So we had 3 families that were directly impacted by rare disease. It was one a month, and one of the families, they came to the experience, and the Phillies do an amazing job. They bring him in early. They give him a tour of the stadium, and just pull out the red carpet for him. It's really, really special. But the other thing they do is we get access to batting practice on the field, and they get to see and get some autographs for the players. All that sounds really good, right? Like, those are not the moments, though. What was really so special is we right before the first pitch, but after the national anthem, there was an opportunity for the ball girls and the person that's there that's impacted by rare diseases to go out in the field, and they share a little bit about, like, why is this person the Ball Kid of the Month. So they got to do like a 60-second PA announcer read and raise awareness for their rare disease community. And it's so powerful to get a platform like that. And so I'm standing there with, you can only bring one parent out onto the field. They, can't all go out on the field. So the child and the one parent went out, and the father went out, and I'm sitting with the mom on the fence, like just kind of watching up against the net. And as they're, reading through the PA announcer read that I'm sure she helped write, there's just tears rolling down her eyes. And she's just, one, to get to see her baby have that opportunity is immensely, deeply impactful for her. 2, to be able to not only have that personal gratification of that opportunity, but to be able to use that to help others, to be able to speak on that rare disease community, that specific rare disease, and raise some awareness for it in front of, 30, 40,000 people at a Phillies game. Wow. So that, to me, just showed just the emotion that came through was all the buildup of, day to day, what they go through, and being able to represent something so proudly that, nobody that I've met in the rare disease community hides from it. They're all really proud of the people that they are. And this is just part of my journey. And that's something that I admire about each and every person that I've gotten to meet. And that's just what they embodied that day. It was just like, hey, this is us, and we get to really share this with everybody.
Then multiply that by 800, man. That's a real impact.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's why we want that to be 8,000, where we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. So how does it work with getting more athletes and organizations pulled in to help support the rare disease community? Is that a struggle? Is it a pleasure? Is it a little of both? Because all organizations, all people have their priorities, and and then I don't know. I guess also it's an opportunity to make a difference. But just how is that?
I think it's interesting. Like the good thing is Rob and I have a background in sports, right? So we have been through and seen how things work on the inside on the sports organizations, and what the players are thinking, what the teams are thinking. So I feel like we kind of have a little bit of a leg up on knowing like how to approach certain situations with teams. But a lot of what we've done on the athletic side is very organic. It's relationships of one person telling the next person and being like, how can I get involved? How can I help? Now that we have a little bit more, I guess, of a blueprint of what we do, we can go and say, hey, we worked with the Phillies, and we can go to another Major League Baseball team and reach out to their community relations and say, hey, we've done this. Would you guys do something like this? But for the most part, it's college level is word of mouth and just reaching out. And I think it's helped us not grow too fast in those areas. Yeah. Because the most important thing is caring. I don't really have interest in doing it because it's going to get viral, or it's gonna get clicks, or it's good PR for the team. That's good and well, but I want to work with people that care, because what ends up happening is those bowling events, if you're sitting there and you don't want to be there, what does that show to the community we care about, right? So I want people that care and then want to be there. And so that's kind of how we strategically go through the process of like, listen, we're not going to just try to make this go everywhere now, because we want to go step by step and make sure that people care. They want to, right? The big thing about want to. And that's how we've gone about it. And it's been really fun to be able to leverage those, like I talked about before, like my life's journey up until that point had been woven through different athletic adventures, right? Different teams, different organizations, college, all that kind of stuff. So I met a lot of people on the way, and now I can call them up and say, hey, this is what I'm doing now. Would you like to be a part of what we're doing?
Yeah.
And it's really special because there's plenty that like it just doesn't work out with, right? But when they're like, oh my gosh, this is great. What can we do? And it works, and the follow through, and it all works out how we intend it to happen. And it's magic. It's really a lot of fun. We love it.
Yeah. As a rare disease patient, I think when you're diagnosed with a rare disease, it can be very isolating and it can feel like nobody cares. And I think that's one of the most powerful things about seeing these athletes. I mean, these people are our heroes, right? Like they're held up, our society, personally, whatever it is. And they're the ones that care.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And that's why I don't want it to be not that way. So making sure that genuine care is there is the prerequisite, right? And, sometimes we get outreach from different schools that want to come to the conference. Student athletes like, well, what do I need to do? I need to apply? I'm like, no, I just want to have a conversation and know, like, why do you want to do this? Like, what is it that makes you want to do this? And it very quickly you find out, like, do they want to do this? Is this for a resume? Is this for some application for something? Or do you care? And if you care, you're in. We can take care of the rest.
That makes
I love it. What are you excited about for the future of Uplifting Athletes?
I'm excited to do more of what we've kind of fallen into as our niche of how we create these opportunities for uplifting experiences today, and how we are building this opportunity for developing the treatments and cures for tomorrow, and setting up the future of the allies and support community for the rare disease community. And we haven't even scratched the surface yet. Like, I just feel like within just those three areas, there's so much opportunity. Like I said, there's 800 people that we served last year through the Experiences program, but I want to get to 8,000. And so to do more and more of that, I'm excited to be able to build that up and make that happen, because I attended one of the first leadership conferences that Uplifting Athletes put on, and it was maybe 10 people. And this weekend we have over 90 student athletes in town for the conference. So seeing that growth, I love seeing us go from that to that, right? And so I want to be able to see it through and see the impact that the growth has, right? It's not just about hitting an 8,000 people. It's about having the same impact on those 8,000 people that we had on the 800 people. And if we can replicate that, I think we have a great opportunity to do this over and over again for years to come. And along the way, like, I want to continue to listen. I want to hear what is needed, but also not try to solve every problem, because we're not necessarily positioned to solve every problem. There are people here that can do something better than we can. There's people there that are more focused on this. What is Uplifting Athletes uniquely positioned to do? And we got to listen first to hear what the needs are, and then start to figure out, where do we fit in? How can we help? How can we solve that problem? So that's what I'm excited about, because I think we're hitting our stride in the sense of knowing who we are and what we can do, and trying to do more of it.
Yeah.
Are these experiences all over the country, outside of the country?
Yeah, I think we covered like
Philly?
27 states.
Wow.
We covered 27 states so far. And yeah, so it's just a matter of making sure that we can uphold our end of the bargain. And we're not perfect at them yet. Like, I'll be honest, one of the things we take pride in is going ahead of our attendees and making sure that any potential hurdles that could deter them from wanting to go to a game or be participating in something that, like, I talk to many people that are like, oh, we would never think to go to a game. Like, it's just not something we can do. It's like, no, that's not how I want it to be. I want you to be able to do this. So we got to go and make sure, hey, is there accessible seating? Are the dietary restrictions? Can we work on something to make sure that people are comfortable and can just do what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
And in the learning process of having these experiences, I told you about how many we've done. We've gotten some wrong. We've had some experiences where we're like, oh man, we didn't think of that. But having that open and honest conversation about, we're going to make mistakes, but don't make the same mistake twice, right?
Sure.
Let's learn from it, grow. And so that's something that we've gone all across the country, but being a very small team, maybe we haven't gotten to check out the venue before we go there, right? And we learn something when we get there, we're like, oh shoot. So, we want to be able to continue to do that, grow them all over the country, and get to all the different people. The one unique thing I think we're set up to do through our different sports relationships is, like, you'll have universities that are in random places in the country. You'll have a lot of these major sports teams around big cities, but we can serve the population in big cities and suburban areas and metropolitan areas and urban areas. Like we have connections everywhere through sports.
Yeah.
And that'll help us reach more people and not leave people out. It's going to take a lot of time to get to all the people we want to get to, but we'll work for it.
Yeah.
The funding for experiences, I know you mentioned having a partner who is probably excited to help y'all.
Yeah.
Is there an investment of sorts on the team or on the event? Say the Phillies or the 76ers, do they come to the table and say, yeah, you can do whatever you want for $10,000? Or do they actually say, yeah, we'll give you this time, we'll give you this space? Or is it a little bit of both?
It varies. But I would say we've been very fortunate to have some very generous partners along the way. Sometimes, especially game day ones are tough, depending on where you are. Some stadiums sell out every week, or whatever, every game. There's been situations where we work it out, and then there's been opportunities like that. That Balkan of the Month is a program that the Phillies do. We fit into the program and made it possible to make sure that people impacted by rare diseases were provided that opportunity. That was kind of our role in that. But the Phillies, they're incredible. They've offer family the tickets to the game and those tours. I mean, you look on the website for some of these professional sports teams, it costs money to do these kind of special tours they do, right? Yeah. So they're given these opportunities in kind. And obviously there's give and take on that, but we want to make sure that we're providing the best experience possible. And so sometimes we're splitting costs and different things like that. But a lot of it is made possible by generous contributions from individuals that see the impact of this, whether it's sponsorships through corporate sponsorships and companies. Like that's how we're able to generate funds to make sure that we're making sure the entire family can go. It's not just mom and dad, or this is not just an individual, right? There is a team behind everybody that in life, right? You said nobody goes through this alone, and we don't want one person to go through this experience. So we want the families to participate. We want caregivers to participate. We want siblings to be there. We don't want you to go through this by yourself.
That's cool. That's really huge. So I can almost guarantee we have listeners that love sports, just like me. They're totally into it. I don't follow anything, for the record. In fact, when I saw you, I thought, oh, Brett, he played basketball, right? Because Brett's like 6'7", everybody. Or I don't know, 6'5". Yeah. What are you?
Somewhere in the middle there. Okay. Yeah, depends on the official life. It's always 6'6".
So we're going to have people that maybe love the idea of sport, and maybe they want to sponsor some sort of event or experience. We're going to have a lot of people that maybe want to experience an experience.
Yep.
So you mentioned having a place on the website. Where do people go to find out more?
So you go to upliftingathletes.org, and in our menu, there's Uplifting Experiences. And so there's an Uplifting Experiences page where you can see what experiences are live right now. So typically a live experience is within a month or so, the 6 weeks of when the event happens. So there's signups happening. You'll see the number of available spots that are for that experience. You'll get details about what to expect for that experience, some pictures of what maybe it looked like or, in previous years and things like that. But on the website, if there's not an event that is in your area or, fits what you'd like to do, we have a future sign up button where you can click that button. You provide us your information. So we learn about where you are. We learn about how many people are in your family, so that when an opportunity pops up in Oklahoma, and we had this family that signed up from Oklahoma, that's a family of 6, that we know when we talk with that team from Oklahoma, like, hey, we know we have a family of 6. Like, can you make something happen for that family of 6, right? So having that information helps us a ton be able to connect the dots, because it's really hard to pull it together when we don't have that information, or we're like, where do we go next? What do we do? So the future-facing signups on the website or whatever's live is there, and something that I think encourage people to go check out and see what's there. And if not, reach out and let us know what you're thinking.
Perfect. Wonderful. All right, Brett. Beyond uplifting athletes, just in life, what are something that's you're very proud of in your life, whether it's, as a father, a husband, an athlete, whatever it is?
Wow, that's a big one. The immediate thing that comes to my mind is, this is crazy. Like, I think a lot about like how I got to here, what brought me here. And I think I'm really proud that I get to do something every day that, one, I'm extremely passionate about. Two, it utilizes some experiences that I've had previously to help, right? So like going through that sports experience my entire life, well, I can't play football anymore. Like nobody wants me to play football for them anymore, and I physically can't play football anymore. But that part of my life doesn't have to go away because I'm not, nothing against working, any job, right? But I'm not playing football anymore. So like, what can I do? But now staying in that world, being able to use those connections and opportunities to help other people, I just am so thrilled that I get to do that. And that's something that, again, I want to do it as long as I possibly can.
Yeah. Well, Brett, we appreciate your time today, and we're grateful that you're one of the leaders in the rare disease community.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's an absolute pleasure. I wouldn't change anything for this opportunity. And how about the Young Investigator Draft tomorrow night? You guys setting up the podcast. You might be the first podcast at the Young Investigator Draft. You might be starting a trend here. Who knows? Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This is an absolute pleasure to be hanging with you guys and get to talk through this.
Thank you, Brett.
Sean, 2 takeaways from Brett's interview. I really loved how he talked about his personal story of, he doesn't play football anymore, but he's still connected. There's so many ways that we can interact and be a part of the things we love, right? It doesn't always have to be actually participating.
Yeah, and to that point, I love that he's utilizing that interest and passion for the rare disease community, which seemingly he has no personal connection to. Or I shouldn't say, obviously his connections are personal. He has no personal bearing or obligation, right?
Yeah.
There's nobody in his family, him, etc. But he fell in love with it somewhere along the way, and he's still doing it today.
Yeah, that brings me to my second observation that struck me. It's this guy just oozes compassion, like for everyone he meets. And you could tell in this interview, obviously, but also just, that anytime we've been able to hang out with him, he's got compassion, not only for the conversation he's having at the moment, but everyone around him. So I love it.
Yeah. I really enjoy being able to dig in more on the Uplifting Athletes programs, especially hearing about the experiences. How cool is that?
Yeah.
To me, it was really enjoyable to hear a little more detail into what those are like and how they operate. So love Rob, love Brett, and love hearing about everything Uplifting Athletes is doing. So thank you, Brett.
Both of us observe the power of gratitude, and we have so much respect for it that every episode we do a thank you note. Who do you have to thank today?
My thank you this time is a little more general and broad. I'm grateful for the ability and really the times we live in today in terms of easily connecting with the other people. I think Uplifting Athletes and our time sitting down in the hotel to record a bunch of people is an example where we just threw the word out to a few of our friends and said, hey, we're going to be there. We want to record a bunch of people. And it just came together. So that connectivity and the way it provides easily, or more easily provides the ability to spread word of mouth and to make friends and referrals and recommendations. It's so much easier today than it was, even for us back in college. When you had to do something or think of something or it was cold calling, it was looking up in the yellow pages. Do you remember those? It was, it was different just 20 years ago. So I'm grateful for the advancements that we've made. There's pros and cons, but overall, I'm grateful
Yeah,
how easy it
for
is
sure.
to connect with the other people today.
Yeah, and the experience we had, right, at Uplifting Athletes, like you said. My thank you is very similar. It's about connecting with people, and I went to 2 fundraisers yesterday in Maryland. It was the Moros, who I believe you know, they had a lacrosse tournament with some high school lacrosse teams. And then the Burroughs Hill Foundation did their annual fundraiser, A Night to Fight FA. And, of course, those 2 events were phenomenal. But at Night to Fight FA, there was several FA families. And specifically, there was at least one who was recently diagnosed and that I had never personally met before. And they mentioned how the Maryland FA community has really supported them in their diagnosis and in getting introduced to the community. And it's not surprising, but I definitely appreciate it,
Sure.
And I feel strongly about the FA community naturally, and I'm really proud to be a part of a community that is so welcoming and supportive to anyone that comes in, because they know the feeling, they know where they've been. And it's obviously a recurring theme that we talk about all the time, but
Sure,
I see it in spades in the Maryland community.
nice. It's always heartbreaking to hear about and meet people that are in the early stages of the diagnosis, right? Nobody sees that coming. But what's heartwarming is that connectivity and how quickly you can find people that can relate, and hopefully you recognize you're not alone. There's some power in that. So
yeah, and in this case, it's really incredible because there's several young people in the FA community in Maryland that are like going to college and getting jobs and being successful, and they're providing an incredible example for the next generation of people that have to go through this journey with all of us. So really great.
wonderful. I love the thank you note. Of course, we gotta say thank you again to Brett for being a part of the show, and really Uplifting Athletes for allowing us to tag along with their event, right? A lot of our episodes this season have been from our couple days there in Philly. We encourage you to check out our show notes. You can find them at twodisableddudes.com, where you'll find links to Uplifting Athletes and maybe more. We'd encourage you to subscribe to this show on your favorite podcast platform. If you're liking this show, please share it with a friend. And also be sure to give us a 5-star rating. 5 stars is the most, right? In the bug.
Yep.
I never can get it right. Is it 4 or 5?
Yeah.
Okay, 5
It's
stars
5.
is what we're looking for. I talk about Yelp a lot, and I think Yelp is 4. Anyway,
okay.
Give us as many stars as you possibly can.
Max number.
Thank you again for being a part of our show and being here today. We look forward to talking at you again next week. Until then, keep living with urgency.
Thank you for listening to the Two Disabled Dudes podcast. This show is possible with your support. Visit twodisableddudes.com to stay connected.
Find us on Facebook and Instagram. And be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast player.